Welcome back. Thank you all for joining us. We have Simon here, head of ASO, AppTweak, who's going to tell us why ASO should be at the heart of your app's marketing in 2022. Simon, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you for this amazing event.
It's our pleasure, and thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to avoid asking you what your favorite book is because we're a little bit behind on time. Maybe we'll return to that, but it seems to be a hot topic for today. But I'll let you get straight into your presentation.
Sure, thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Simon, and so before I tell you about why ASO should be at the heart of your marketing strategy in 2022, I am going to tell you a little bit about my company, AppTweak. We are the #1 ASO tool for apps and games. And basically, what we do is we fuel the growth of the world's most popular apps and games by providing them with actionable insight around everything that goes on in the App Store and the Play Store with a lot of data science and a very simple interface. We've actually been in the ASO game since the very beginning. We've been here since 2014. We now work with over 1,700 mobile leaders, and we have offices in multiple countries. We're looking to expand more. And what that does mean is that first, when we say we're #1, it's not just us saying it. We've actually been awarded Best ASO Tool this year at APS Berlin. And what I do at AppTweak is I lead our team of consultants that work with the tool to support mobile apps and games developers across various regions of the globe, various apps verticals. I've been doing this, I've been doing ASO for about 5 years now. But what I do want to let you guys know before we jump into today's session is also that AppTweak is hiring for multiple positions, whether in Israel, Europe, or the US. So if you're interested in learning more about AppTweak, learning more about ASO or the platform, or learning more about those positions, go head to our virtual booth. My colleagues are awaiting you guys there, so feel free to hit us up. Now, the agenda for today is going to be quite simple. We're going to start with a quick definition of ASO, a reminder what is App Store optimization. And then we'll talk about the benefits of ASO in the post-ATT world, as we call it. We'll talk about the new store marketing tools you may have heard of and that are really opening up new possibilities. And I'll finish with some of the underestimated insights that you can get with ASO. So to get us started, I just want to remind everyone what is App Store optimization, and it's a process of improving an app's visibility in app stores throughout the app's lifetime and to maximize its appeal to users with the objective to increase app downloads. So when we unpack this definition, what it means is that if you've ever heard ASO is basically SEO for apps, it's yes, and it's true, but it's also about creatives. It's also about many new growth techniques that are going to boost not just your visibility, but also your appeal. And it has to be part of your user acquisition strategy. If someone tells you they're doing UA and they only means they're doing Facebook campaigns or UAC or using different ad channels, tell them about ASO. This is essential because UA has to work as a whole, and it has to include ASO, paid advertising, and much more. In practice, what ASO looks like in 2021, it looks like everything that goes on your App Store page. Basically, it starts with optimizing your metadata, and here we're going to be talking about your title, subtitle, your description, your keyword fields, so all that includes keywords. We're also talking about your category, your product ID, your Google tags, if we're talking about the Play Store. Then it also involves optimizing your store creatives, and we're going to talk about that for sure today. But already you have to know that ASO has to take has to have a take on the creatives that appear on your store page. And finally, it extends to improving your reviews and ratings, to monitoring product metrics and supporting inorganic traffic so that everything in the end meshes well and gets you the best visibility and conversion you can hope for. So it's not just about keywords anymore. And today, if you have an ASO team, they're probably mainly controlling metadata and creatives on the store. But you're going to see that now there's even more. So this is why I want to talk to you today about what it's going to be like in 2022. So the first thing is, going into 2022, we have to talk about what happened with ATT. And so a few benefits of ASOs that really became more important now that paid UA is starting to encounter more issues, include the fact that first, ASO is going to benefit all of your traffic sources. If you have an app, if your goal is to grow your app's user base, all of your targets are going to pass through the App Store or the Play Store at one point. And so any improvement you make there should be beneficial to everyone. If we look specifically at organic search, and here, this is where AppTweak has seen that over time, ASO can bring an average of 35 to 40% uplift in your organic downloads. And this is especially interesting because at the same time, the lifetime value of organic users can be 3 to 5 times that of paid users. So we're not only talking about users that may cost less to acquire, but also users that tend to stick around longer in your app. And finally, if we're looking more about the link between ASO and UA, what's especially important to understand is that if ASO improve overall conversion rates, then it actually also improves your paid UA conversion rates. That means also reducing your cost per install. And if we're looking specifically at certain ad channels, and here I'm going to talk more in details about Apple search ads, ASO is going to have an impact on your bid's relevancy and help you lower the cost per tab, the cost per click that is available there. How that happens? Well, it happens with the fact that your metadata, your app's title, subtitle, keyword field, they are going to be considered by Apple to establish the relevancy of your app when trying to bid on certain keywords. This is something that Apple themselves are sharing on their public website. And they explain that metadata and conversion metrics do impact the CPI and the ROAS. One good tip to know is that the long description on iOS is believed not to have an impact on organic search, but to play on Apple search ads. And so if you rework your long description to help target keywords that you are going to be looking to bid on with Apple search ads, you can try to see if you can nudge the price of the bids there. Why does all of that matter? Well, because Apple search ads is getting more and more popular and more competitive these days. And that's because when Apple released app tracking transparency, iOS 14.5, they actually gave a relative exemption to Apple search ads. And so here, if you're trying to ramp up your efforts in this specific ad network, then this is when you want to also give a longer look at ASO. Another benefit of having ASO work with ASA is that if you already have an ASO team, they probably have an ASO tool. If not, obviously I'm going to recommend using AppTweak, but that's because with ASO tools, you can uncover opportunities, find which keywords are worth targeting, and also who are the competitors who are either ranking organically for keywords you're interested in, or also who are the competitors targeting the keywords you're interested in, and that can even include your own brand name. The last benefit of ASO with ASA is regarding the creatives. A feature that's not well known about Apple Search Ads is creative sets. And it allows a marketer to change the images, just swap out the images that are already available on the store to show the 3 most relevant cards for the ad group that they've created. And so here I have the example of a fitness app that really worked well on trying to address through the screenshots and captions different user personae. And here you can see that you have a default USP, but for someone who's going to be targeting some fitness keywords, you're going to be able to show certain screenshots that are going to be more appealing to that specific segment. This is going to keep going until the new marketing tools are fully operational on the store. And so this is the big part of today's session. It's to tell you about all the new tools that are coming to the App Store and to the Play Store, and that you should leverage. You should look for an ASO team to help you, give you more insight, understand how to best leverage them. First one, hopefully you have already heard of it. It's called Custom Product Pages. It's been live for about a week with iOS 15. And what these product pages are basically landing pages inside the App Store. You can create up to 35 of them, each of them with different localizations. And here what you're going to be able to do is customize what videos, screenshots, and promotional text appear on your App Store page. And that simply means you now have 35 different user segments you can target and improve the conversion for. So it's obviously going to synergize with paid UA. It can also synergize with influencer campaigns, with PR, with very seasonal things. So here, there's really a new world of creativity that's opening with the App Store, and it's essential to integrate this in your strategy for 2022. Another big change is regarding in-app events. Both the App Store and Play Store are working on functionalities to promote in-app activities and content on the store pages, and also in what featuring inventories they have on the store. So promotional inventories run by Apple and Google. What's especially interesting, if we look at the Apple version called in-app events, is that the event card that you see is actually replacing the screenshot on the app page for a user who already downloaded your app. And that means that instead of not showing anything, now you're showing something that is going to engage with them a lot better than just screenshots that they already know. You also have an in-app event details page, which you can see here. And this page can serve as a landing page if you're running engagement and retargeting campaigns and you want them to land on the App Store page. So if you're struggling to get data from your deep links, you may want to target to the in-app event details page and then get the store console data that's available there. The last thing that's interesting with iOS 15 is that for in-app events, you can even segment targets. You can specify if you want your in-app event to be targeted first at new users or at active users or lapsed users. So you really have more opportunities to speak to certain segments of your audience with the App Store. The last change I'm going to mention are the new console metrics. These are very important if you look at the big picture. They may not seem like much at first, but the fact that we're now getting more information about how in-app events or live ops are performing in the App Store and in the Play Store obviously is going to help measure what is their impact and how much you want to keep running them. But if you look also at new data that Apple has been adding to their console, such as breaking down new downloads and re-downloads, or being able to establish whether downloads come from search and a tap on your product page or other places, all of these shows that Apple and Google are now working to provide more data in a world where they're also hurting the amount of data available in your MMPs. So they're not yet trying to kill those MMPs, but they're definitely at least putting on the table the fact that they should be a source for your data team to look at. And the fact that we have both this and the in-app events, for instance, arrive at the store on the same time does show that there is a clear intent from Apple and Google to reestablish the store is not just a very short step in the user journey where a user clicks on an ad, arrives on the store, downloads without looking at anything, and leaves and starts playing the game or the app or using the app. But instead that Apple and Google are working on making the store a place where people are, again, looking to discover new apps and new games. Now, to conclude the session, I do want to bring up a few insights that people underestimate with ASO. If we look, for instance, at the keyword volume for me is something super interesting that a lot of people don't fully understand because they see it as a way of choosing which keyword to target with ASO, and that's obviously the first step. But the keyword volume can also provide a lot of user insights. And this is where looking at ASO as something bigger than just organic search is going to be important. If you're trying to decide on a concept for a new game, for instance, you can use keyword volumes to understand the marketability of different concepts. Here you have the example of if you're trying to, if you're thinking about launching a new racing game, you may want to figure out whether it has to be a car game, a bike, truck racing, kart racing, and every time what are the associated terms that are going to come with those. If you're trying to evaluate your brand notoriety or assess the impact of your brand campaigns, looking at the volume history can really help. Here we have the example of what happened after HBO Max launched in Mexico earlier this year, where they basically gave Netflix a run for their money for a while, and now they're not as popular as Netflix, but they're definitely more popular than Amazon Prime Video. The last thing you can do simply by looking at keyword volume is adapt your messaging to your users. When you're localizing your messages, it's important to understand whether a word that you've been using does have the same volume, is actually employed by people, or if people are used to something very different, sometimes even in the same language. I can give you the example of something I saw working last year with some finance apps, where in India, there was this technology called UPI that has a huge volume and which people in the US know nothing about because they're used to saying wire transfer. Moving on to another insight you can get with ASO, it's all about relevancy. So here, when you look at store results, you can start understanding a lot better what could be the customer intents. If you look at high volume generic terms, for instance, Apple is now providing search suggestions that offer a snapshot of the variety of intent that may relate to a keyword. Here, I've taken the example of run and running, where you can see that run is actually associated a lot with games, such as Subway Surfers, Temple Run, very famous, popular games. Whereas running is actually associated a lot more with the physical activity of running, with GPS apps and sports apps in general. So if you want to know more, start there, and then again, look into an ASO tool like AppTweak. AppTweak has this unique feature called the relevancy score, which can help you predict how relevant an app is for a certain keyword. The last insight that I want to share is regarding reviews and ratings. So if you've attended yesterday's panel on how organic can help boost UA, you've already heard some of this, but here the core insight is that you have a gold mine of feedback available to you for free on the App Store and the Play Store. And that means that you can understand what users enjoy about your app, dislike about your app, and that you should fix. Also do the same with your competitors to understand where they're performing well, where they have weaknesses. And one of my favorites is also the review topics on Google Play, which can help you know more about what are the topics people talk about in your reviews. So again, this can really help you brainstorm what new feature to work on, whether it's looking at the review topics in your app or at competitors. So don't underestimate those things and look into how ASO can really boost your marketing strategy in 2022. That will be it for me. I don't know if we have time for Q&As, but I want to thank everyone for attending. And we do have a quick short coupon code available for the next 2 weeks if you want to give AppTweak a free trial.
Thank you, Simon, for the extremely insightful and informative presentation there. And just a reminder to viewers that you can check out AppTweak on the WN Hub at the Expo Zone. AppTweak have got a silver sponsor booth there where you can get in touch with Simon and his colleagues because I'm sure you've got more questions and possibly even want to get Simon to help you on your app. So thanks again, Simon. We'll see you again.